All right, good morning, guys. Today we're going to get back into Act 3 of the play after the pivotal scene of Act 3, Scene 1 that begins the body count in the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet. You might have forgot it was a tragedy after Act 2. There was so much love and happiness. It was like, I love you. No, I love you. I want to be with you forever. No, you're like the best thing that ever happened to me. I should marry you. I know we've known each other for 20 hours, but it's been great. Anyway. After all that, you get into Act 3, Scene 1, and bad things happen fast, including a pretty drastic change to Romeo and Juliet's perfect love story. He goes ahead and runs into Mercutio and Tybalt, who are bantering back and forth. Tybalt wants to fight him. Mercutio steps in to fight for Romeo, whether it's because he's just a great friend or he got tired of Tybalt's BS, or he didn't think Romeo could stand a chance against him. He goes in to fight him. Romeo tries to help break them up and actually winds up getting Mercutio killed. Tybalt comes in. He takes off, comes back, and Romeo is all blinded with fury and wants to kill him and ultimately puts the drop on Juliet's cousin. You got two people who are dead. The prince comes, finds out. Romeo is banished. So that's where we're going to pick up now. What are these two lovers going to do? We're going to read a couple scenes today, starting with Scene 2 with Juliet. As it's been in the past, the play kind of bounced back and forth between these two characters. Juliet is looking forward to her honeymoon. She doesn't know anything's happened. Everything's lovely to her. Remember Romeo when he was skipping into the city of Verona in love, newlywed, just seeing his homeboys, and then things got really bad? Well, we'll see what happens when Juliet finds out the news. All right, so on page 825 in your book, we're going to get to Act 3, Scene 2, in Juliet's room alone for a soliloquy. This starts out with her thinking about Romeo and her honeymoon. Gallop apace, you fiery-footed steeds, towards Phoebus' lodging. Such a wagoner as Phaeton would whip you to the west and bring in cloudy night immediately. Spread thy close curtain, love-performing night, that runaway's eyes may wink, and Romeo leap to these arms untalked of and unseen. Lovers can see to do their amorous rites, and by their own beauties, or, if love be blind, if best agrees with night, come, civil knight, though sober-suited matron all in black, and learn me how to lose a winning match, played for a pair of stainless maidenhoods. Hood my unmanned blood, bathing in my cheeks, with thy black mantle till strange love grow bold. Think true love acted simple modesty? Come, night, come, Romeo, come thou day and night, for thou wilt lie upon the wings of night, whither than new sow upon a raven's back. Come, gentle night, come, loving black-browed night, give me my Romeo, and when I shall die, take him and cut him out in little stars, and he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night and pay no worship to the garish sun. Oh, I have bought the mansion of a love, but had not possessed it, and though I am sold, not yet enjoyed. So tedious is this day, as is the night before some festival, to an impatient child that hath new robes and may not wear them. Oh, here comes my nurse. The nurse is coming in here. Well, it's a good thing the nurse is coming here. I wonder what she's going to tell Juliet. Okay, so before I move on here, I try to capture young Juliet as she is waiting for Romeo. And notice how that she's really like calling on the knight here, really dramatically, by the way. And the language is very sensual, is one way to put it. full of love and desire, and does not sound like a 13-year-old young woman. But in this play, obviously the two of them with their love together feels very grown and passionate and real. And that's what's coming out here. She's wanting night to come so that she can be with Romeo. That's how they can only be together right now, right? The only way they can see each other is hidden in the shadows of night. And she's dying to have him in her arms. And she's talking about their honeymoon. She wants to consummate the marriage. I think I've tiptoed around it enough. You guys can put the pieces together. Take the rest from there. Okay? So the nurse is coming in here, right? Let's see what she has to say. Man, when will this day end and get to the night so I can be alone with Romeo? The nurse comes in with cords. This would be the rope ladder that would hang from the balcony for Romeo to come up. And she brings news. And every tongue that speaks but Romeo's name speaks heavenly eloquence. Now, nurse, what news? What hast thou there? The cords that Romeo bid thee fetch? Aye, the cords. Ay me, what news? Why dost thou wring thy hands? I wear a day, he's dead! He's dead! He's dead! We are undone, lady, we are undone! Alack the day, he's gone, he's killed, he's dead! Can heaven be so envious? Romeo can, though heaven cannot. Oh, Romeo, Romeo, whatever have thought it, Romeo. Now, look at the way the nurse comes in here, right? She comes in here crying, upset, talking about death. He's dead, he's killed, we're undone. And she keeps crying out, Romeo. What is Juliet going to think? Obviously, she's thinking the worst. Something tragic has happened. But she's thinking it's Romeo. What devil art thou that torment me thus? This torture shall be roared in dismal hell. Hath Romeo slain himself? Say thou but I, and that bare foul eye shall poison more than the death-darting eye of cockatrice. I am not I, if there be such an eye, or those eyes shot that make the answer I. If he be slain, say I, or if not, no. Brief sounds determine of my weal of woe. I saw the wound, I saw it with my eyes. God save the mark, here on his manly breast. A piteous course, a bloody piteous course. Oh, pale as ashes, all bedaubled in blood, all in gore blood. I sounded at the sight. Oh, break my heart. Poor bankrupt, break it once. To prison eyes never look upon liberty, vile earth to earth resign end motion here, and thou and Romeo press one heavy bier. Oh, Tybalt, Tybalt, the best friend I had, oh courteous Tybalt, honest gentleman, that ever I should live to see thee dead. What storm is this that blows so contrary? Is Romeo slaughtered? And is Tybalt dead? My dearest cousin and my dearer lord? Then dreadful trumpets sound the general doom. For who is living if those two are gone? Tybalt is gone, and Romeo banished. Romeo that killed him, he is banished. Oh God. Did Romeo's hand shed Tybalt's blood? It did! It did! Alas, the day it did! Oh, serpent heart, hid with a flowering face, did ever dragon keep so fair a cave? Beautiful tyrant, fiend angelical, dove-feathered raven, wolfish ravening lamb, despised substance of divinest show, just opposite to what thou justly seemest. O damned saint, an honorable villain! O nature, what hadst thou to do in hell when thou did bower the spirit of a fiend in mortal paradise of such sweet flesh? Was ever book containing such vile matter so fairly bound? Oh, that deceit should dwell in such a gorgeous palace. So, you notice here the change in her language. She's using these oxymorons like Romeo does. These two opposites connected, beautiful tyrant, a dove-feathered raven, a wolvish ravening lamb. So like these two things, like he had this appearance of something so beautiful, of such a gorgeous palace on line 84. But really he's possible of such devilish things. She feels like she's been betrayed by him, that he's not who he seems. There is no trust, no faith, no honesty in men. All perjured, all forsworn, all naught, all dissemblers. Ah, where's my man? Give me some aqua vitae. These griefs, these woes, these sorrows make me old. Shame come to Romeo. Blistered be thy tongue for such a wish. He was not born to shame. Upon his brow shame is a shame to sit. For 'tis a throne where honor may be crowned, sole monarch of the universal earth. Oh, what a beast was I to chide at him. Will you speak well of him that killed your cousin? Shall I speak ill of him that is my husband? Ah, poor my lord, what tongue shall smooth my name when I, thy 3 hours' wife, have mangled it? But wherefore, villain, didst thou kill my cousin? That villain cousin would have killed my husband. Back, foolish tears, back to your native spring. Your tributary drops belong to woe, which you mistakenly offer up to joy. My husband lives, that Tybalt would have slain. And Tybalt's dead, that would have slain my husband. All this is comfort. Wherefore weep I then? Some word there was, worser than Tybalt's death, that murdered me? I would forget it fain. But oh, it presses to my memory like damned guilty deeds to sinners' minds. Tybalt is dead, and Romeo? Banished? That banished, that one word banished, has slain 10,000 Tybalts. Tybalt's death was woe enough, if it had ended there. Or if sour woe delights with fellowship, and needly will ranked with other griefs, why followed not? When she said Tybalt's dead, thy father or thy mother, nay, or both, which modern lamentation might have moved. But with the rearward following Tybalt's death, Romeo is banished? To speak that word? It is father, mother, Tybalt, Romeo, Juliet, all slain, all dead. Romeo is banished? There is no end, no limit, measure, bound in that word's death. No words can that woe sound. Where is my father, my mother, nurse? They are weeping and wailing over Tybalt's corse. Will you go to them? I will bring you thither. Wash they his wounds with tears? Mine shall be spent when theirs are dry for Romeo's banishment. Take up those cords. Poor ropes, you are beguiled, both you and I, for Romeo is exiled. He made you for a highway to my bed, but I, a maid, die maiden widowed. Come cords, come nurse, out to my wedding bed, and death, not Romeo, take my maidenhead. Hie, to your chamber. I'll find Romeo to comfort you. I wot well where he is. Hark ye, your Romeo will be here at night. I'll to him. He is hid at Lawrence's cell. Oh, find him. Give this ring to my true knight, and bid him come to take his last farewell. Wow, and that's the end of scene 3. Scene 2, I'm sorry. End of scene 2 is pretty dramatic here with Juliet. It goes from such a happy feeling, waiting to be alone with Romeo so that they can have their romantic night together to celebrate their wedding, to this moment here where now she's starting to process, yeah, Tybalt's dead. Sucks, right? He was cool, I guess. Sounds like the nurse was really close to him. I guess he was pretty cool, right? That's my cousin. That sucks. But she realizes that had Tybalt lived, that means Romeo would have died. I mean, he would have killed Romeo. So she's glad that Romeo's alive, but finding out that he's banished, well, that's painful to her just the same. It might as well be death. If you look at the line here, the word banished on line 123 is father, mother, Tybalt, Romeo, Juliet, all slain, all dead. Romeo is banished. It's like that's the same thing. If he's gone and he can't be with me, he might as well be dead. There's nothing to live for. And so she has this really somber moment where she's looking at this rope ladder that was supposed to be his way to her tonight. And she says, Cords, you can come with me. She's going to her wedding bed. And death, not Romeo, take my maidenhead. So talking about her virginity here. So in this case, she'll die a virgin. She's talking a lot about death. She doesn't want to live. If Romeo is exiled, she might as well be dead too. Foreshadowing. We'll see. Who knows, right? We don't know how it's going to end. Or do we? Prologue. Anyway, scene 3 brings us across town to Friar Lawrence's cell, which is where the nurse said that Romeo was at. So we know this is where it's going, bouncing back and forth. This is where Romeo would have went when he flew from the dead body of Tybalt there, and that scene before the prince came, we could figure he would probably go to Friar Lawrence. Here's Friar Lawrence talking with him. Romeo, come forth. Come forth, thou fearful man. Affliction is enamored of thy parts, and thou art wedded to calamity. Father, what news? What is the prince's doom? What sorrow craves acquaintance at my hand that I yet know not? Too familiar is my dear son with such sour company. I bring thee tidings of the prince's doom. What less than doomsday is the prince's doom? A gentler judgment vanished from his lips. Not body's death, but body's banishment. Ha! Banishment! Be merciful, say death. For exile hath more terror in his look, much more than death. Do not say banishment. Here from Verona art thou banished. Be patient, for the world is broad and wide. There is no world without Verona's walls, but purgatory, torture, hell itself. Hence banished is banished from the world. In world's exile is death. Then banished is death mistermed. Calling death banished, thou cuttest my head off with a golden axe and smiles upon the stroke that murders me. O deadly sin! O rude unthankfulness! Thy fault our law calls death, but the kind prince, taking thy part, hath rushed aside the law and turned that black word death to banishment. This is dear mercy, and thou seest it not. It is torture, and not mercy. Heaven is here, where Juliet lives. And every cat and dog and little mouse, every unworthy thing, live here in heaven, and may look on her. But Romeo may not. More validity, more honorable state, more courtship lives in carrion flies than Romeo. They may seize on the white wonder of dear Juliet's hand and steal immortal blessing from her lips, who even in pure and vestal modesty still blush, thinking their own kisses sin, but Romeo may not. He is banished. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. They are freemen, but I am banished. And sayest thou yet that exile is not death? Hast thou no poison mixed, no sharp ground knife, no sudden mean of death, though never so mean, but banished to kill me, banished? O friar, the damned use of that word in hell, howling attend it. How hast thou the heart, being a divine, a ghostly confessor, a sin absolver, and my friend, profess to mangle me with that word banished.
Thou fond man, hear me speak a little.
Oh, thou wilt speak again of banishment.
I'll give thee armor to keep off that word. Adversity's sweet milk, philosophy, to comfort thee, though thou art banished.
Yet banished? Hang up philosophy! Unless philosophy can make a Juliet. Displan a town, reverse a prince's doom. It helps not, it prevails not. Talk no more.
Oh, and I see that madmen have no ears.
How should they, when that wise men have no eyes?
Let me dispute with thee of thy estate.
Thou canst not speak of thou that dost not feel. Wert thou as young as I, Juliet, thy love, an hour but married, Tybalt murder it, doting like me, and like me banish it, then mightst thou speak. Then mightst thou tear thy hair and fall upon the ground as I do now, taking the measure of an unmade grave.
Arise, one knocks. Good Romeo, hide thyself.
Not I. Unless the breath of heartsick groans, mist-like unfold me from the search of eyes.
Hark, how they knock.
Who's there?
Romeo, arise. Thou wilt be taken. Stay a while. Stand up. Run to my study by and by. God's will. What simpleness is this?
I come!
Who knocks so hard?
Whence come you? What's your will? Let me come in, and you shall know my errand. I come from Lady Juliet.
Welcome, then.
Oh, holy friar, tell me, holy friar, where is my lady's lord? Where's Romeo?
There, on the ground, with his own tears made drunk.
Oh, he is even in my mistress's case, just as in her case. Oh, woeful sympathy, piteous predicament. Even so lies she, blubbering and weeping, weeping and blubbering.
Stand up, stand up. Stand and you be a man. For Juliet's sake and for her sake, rise and stand. Why should you fall into so deep an
Nurse.
Ah, sir, death's the end of all.
Spakest thou of Juliet? How is it with her? Doth not she think me an old murderer? Now I have stained the childhood of our joy, with blood removed but little from her own. Where is she? And how doth she? And what says my concealed lady to our cancelled love?
Oh, she says nothing, sir, but weeps and weeps. And now falls on her bed and then starts up, and Tybalt calls, and then on Romeo cries, and then falls down again.
As if that name, shot from a deadly level of a gun, did murder her. Is that name cursed hand murdered her kinsman? Oh, tell me, friar, tell me. In what vile part of this anatomy doth my name lodge? Tell me, and I may sack the hateful mansion. He grabs a knife, he's trying to stab him. He's like, I'll cut my name out. Where is it?
Romeo, man. Hold thy desperate hand. Art thou a man? Thy form cries out thou art. Thy tears are womanish. Thy wild acts denote the unreasonable fury of a beast. Unseemly woman in a seeming man. It's a little sexist, friar, but okay, we'll let it slide. It's like the 1400s. An ill-beseeming beast and seeming both. Thou hast amazed me by my holy order. I thought thy disposition better tempered. Hast thou slain Tybalt? Wilt thou slay thyself? And slay thy lady that in thy life lives, by doing damned hate upon thyself? Why railest thou on thy birth, the heaven and thy earth?
Since birth and heaven and earth all three do meet in thee at once, which thou at once would lose. Fie, fie, thou shamest thy shape, thy love, thy wit, which, like a usurer, aboundest in all, and usest none in that true use indeed, which should bedeck thy shape, thy love, thy wit. Thy noble shape is but a form of wax, disgressing from the valor of a man. Thy dear love sworn but hollow perjury, killing that love which thou hast vowed to cherish. Thy wit, that ornament to shape and love, misshapen in thy conduct of them both, like powder in a skilless soldier's flask, is set afire by thy own ignorance, and thou dismembered with thy own defense. What? Rouse thee, man! Thy Juliet is alive, for whose dear sake thou wast but lately dead. There art thou happy? Tybalt would kill thee, but thou slewest Tybalt. There art thou happy? The law that threatened death becomes thy friend and turns it to exile. There art thou happy? A pack of blessings light upon thy back. Happiness courts thee in her best array, but like a misbehaved and sullen wench, thou puts up thy fortune and thy love. Take heed, for such die miserable. Go, get thee to thy love, as was decreed. Ascend her to chamber. Hence and comfort her. But look, thou stand not till the watch be set, for then thou canst not pass to Mantua, where thou shalt live till we can find a time to blaze your marriage, reconcile your friends, and beg pardon of the prince, and call thee back with 200,000 times more joy than thou wentst forth in lamentation. Go before, nurse, commend me to thy lady, and bid her hasten to the house to bed, which heavy sorrow makes them apt unto. Romeo is coming. Oh, Lord, I could have stayed here all the night to hear good counsel. Oh, what learning is. My lord, I'll tell my lady you will come. Do so, and bid my sweet prepare to chide. Here, sir, a ring she bid me give you, sir. Aye, you, make haste, for it grows very late. How well my comfort is revised by this. Go hence, good night, and here stands all your state. Either be gone before the watch be set, or by the break of day disguised from hence. Sojourn in Mantua. I'll find your man, and he shall signify from time to time every good hap to you that chances here. Give me thy hand. 'Tis late. Farewell. Good night. But that a joy past joy calls out on me. It were a grief so brief to part with thee. Farewell. And that's the end of scene 3. So we see Romeo acting very much to the news of banishment, like Juliet. Banished? Banished? You might as well kill me. I just want to die anyway. And it's the friar who's the voice of reason here. The friar is like, man, are you so blind you can't see that you are fortunate? Right? You want to die, you're so miserable. But if Romeo killed himself, what would that do to Juliet? He spent some time here talking about it, that if you kill yourself, on line 115, that hast thou slain Tybalt, wilt thou slay thyself and slay thy lady that in thy life lives, by doing damned hate upon thyself. If he kills himself, Juliet's going to want to die too. So you're going to kill yourself and ultimately kill her because you killed Tybalt? She's alive, and he's alive. That should be a good thing. The friar's trying to remind him of that. And what the prince did was merciful. Banishment is merciful. So the friar comes up with a strategy here. You go to her tonight, and you say goodbye. You get on your way to Mantua as quick as can be. It's like a neighboring town to Verona. Get your way to Mantua and just lay low. Lay low. When the time's right, we'll try to get this all squared away. Let people know you guys are married, and hopefully time will heal these wounds. right? So that's the friar trying to see the silver lining in this terrible situation. The nurse is like, you are pretty smart and handsome. You know, that she's just sitting there like it was the worst day ever. But the friar, he has this long monologue here, dropping knowledge. You know, that's how he does, drop knowledge bombs on Romeo. And this time it appears that he's actually going to listen. Juliet doesn't hate him like Romeo was afraid that she would. And instead, she's waiting for him. So we will see how that goes from there. That concludes today's reading. The reading guide is on there for you guys to check out. Start answering these questions from the first 3 scenes of Act 2, and we'll get more a little bit later on to wrap up the week. Have a great day. Take care.